November 2014 is when an experienced outdoorsman, hiker, and YouTuber goes missing in the Nevada desert. At the time of his disappearance, he was heading out into the desert to find an M-shaped cave that he had found on a previous adventure. He posted on YouTube that this cave made his body vibrate and he wanted to investigate it further. But on this last excursion, he vanished and has never been seen again. This is the story of Kenny Veach. Welcome to Morbid Outdoors, the podcast that ventures deep into the shadows of the wild. Here, we unravel the mysteries of missing persons, explore spine-chilling legends, and share the most morbid stories that nature has to offer. From the depths of the dense forests to the highest mountain peaks, we'll uncover the secrets that lie hidden in the great outdoors. Join us as we navigate the eerie, the unexplained, and the terrifying. So if you dare, grab your gear and let's embark on a journey into the unknown. This is Morbid Outdoors. Hi everyone, this is your host Elise. Happy Wednesday. I just want to quickly say thank you so much to all of the feedback. I think I'm going to keep my intro like this. Most of you really liked it. I didn't hear anyone say they didn't like it. So I think this is going to be how we go from now on. I really appreciate all the feedback I'm getting on YouTube. And if you're new here, I don't know, I've been doing TikToks trying to get more visibility for the show. And so if you're new here, I would so appreciate it if you would leave me 5 stars on Apple or 5 stars on Spotify, 5 stars just wherever you listen. That would mean a lot to me. So anyways, let's jump into today's case. I'm sure you have heard of this case before, but we are going to talk about the mysterious disappearance of Kenny Veach. Now, I have not spent a ton of time in Nevada, except for short events. I've never really hiked in the area we're going to discuss today because it's so hot. And I only hike in the desert really in the winter and fall because I don't love the no shade and all of the heat and all of the little creepy crawlies that you could step on or get stung by. I've driven through a lot of Nevada and seen some really weird things, including the extraterrestrial highway. And another bizarre case from Nevada is when a Utah man named Stephen Kocher went missing from Henderson, Nevada, in an upscale neighborhood in the suburbs. And he has been missing since 2009. So a lot of times when people discuss these cases, they're usually kind of mentioned together, even though they have a lot of differences. So let's start off with some bad reviews. So literally someone's username on Google is an alien, and an alien said, "Holding me hostage down the street, please send help so I can go back to my spaceship," with a sad emoji face and an alien emoji. There's another negative review that says, "Didn't see a warning sign for the high radiation levels." And then our last negative review says, "Have vehicle in good running condition, tires fully inflated, fluids topped off with extra oil, fluids, etc. Car jack, spare tire, off-road equipment, extra crucial common off-road replacement parts, sat phone or means of contacting help if needed, medical supplies, plenty of water, drinkable water, bleach to decontaminate water, a friend with you, person of contact at certain intervals who can send help if not heard from, that you will have your itinerary and your point of contact, knowledge of dangerous plants and animals, etc., plenty of food and hygiene necessities, a good all-terrain rated tire, fully inflated, enough fix-a-flat, and exact spare if at all possible." So that was the review, and that's like very extreme, but this is a very remote area of the state, and you probably should have all of that if you will be going off-roading into the wilderness. That person obviously is very prepared and is trying to warn others to be very prepared as well. The area that Kenny went missing from is the Desert National Wildlife Refuge, and this was established in 1936. It sits at just over 1.6 million acres, and as you might have guessed, it is a protected wildlife refuge, which the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service kind of oversees. And this is located north of Las Vegas, Nevada. Much of this refuge lies within the southeastern section of the Nevada Test and Training Range. And in this wildlife refuge, it's the largest wildlife refuge in the lower 48 states of the United States, which is kind of insane. It's like you probably have never heard of this area, although it is the largest wildlife refuge in the lower 48. So it's extremely vast, extremely remote, and can be very sketchy if you are not prepared accordingly. This wildlife refuge contains 6 major mountain ranges, including the Sheep Range, with heights up to 10,000 feet and valleys at around 2,500 feet. So it's not just like flat desert. This is extremely rugged terrain out here. And as you can guess, one of the larger animals that lives in this area is the desert bighorn sheep, and its habitat is the most important objective of this wildlife refuge. The range actively improves bighorn habitats by developing new water sources and maintaining and improving existing ones. Numerous other wildlife species share the range with these bighorns. Because this is such a vast area, it offers ample opportunities to get outside and recreate on it. Some of these activities include camping, hiking, backpacking, and horseback riding, and these are all the more popular ones enjoyed by the refuge visitors. Limited hunting for bighorn sheep is permitted, but you have to have permits, and it is extremely limited. The mountains reach a peak at Hayford Peak, which is 9,912 feet above sea level, and this is actually between the Las Vegas Range to the east and the Desert Range to the west. The Sheep Range lies in a generally north-south direction. One topic that's always associated with this case is the Nellis Air Force Base, partly due to the proximity to where Kenny disappeared, and also partly due to conspiracy theories. Now, I want to talk about the Nellis Air Force Base for a little bit. This Air Force Base that hosts air combat exercises such as Exercise Red Flag and close air support exercises such as Green Flag West, flown in the Military Operations Area airspace. And it's often associated with the nearby Nevada Test and Training Range. The base also has combined air and space operations. So this is kind of like, what's going on here? And after World War I, Nevada and other Western inland states were surveyed by Captain Lowell H. Smith and Sergeant William B. Whitefield for landing sites. And by mid-1925, the Airspace Service possessed information on nearly 3,500 landing places, including more than 2,800 emergency landings in the United States. It was constructed in the late 30s and 1940s, and it has been renamed a lot over the past, decades. I mean, it's been renamed a ton. But right now, it's Nellis Air Force Base. This base's demands have changed over the years, and in fact, in the 1950s, for Operation Teapot nuclear testing, one of the 12 zone commanders was based at the Nellis Air Force Base for community liaison and public relations. Now, it's known by the United States Air Force as the home of the fighter pilot and is the Air Force Base's focus for advanced combat training. As of October 2019, Nellis employed over 9,000 military and civilian personnel. The total military population is more than 40,000, including family members and retired military personnel in the area. People also mention Area 51 in this case, although it is farther away from the base. And if you're not familiar with Area 51, which I suspect you probably are, Area 51 is the name of a highly classified United States Air Force facility within the Nevada Test and Training Range. The installation has been the focus of numerous conspiracies involving extraterrestrial life, though its only confirmed use is as a flight testing facility. It's located within the Nevada Test and Training Range near Groom Lake in southern Nevada, and it's about 83 miles northwest of Las Vegas. The surrounding area is a popular tourist destination, including the small town of Rachel on the extraterrestrial highway. So yes, I have been in this area. It's beautiful, but it's extremely desolate in terms of talking about people, but very beautiful. So now we're going to jump into the case. We're going to be discussing the mysterious disappearance of Kenny Veach. Kenny was born November 20th, 1966 in Las Vegas, Nevada. Not much is known about his childhood because there's not a lot online, but what we do know about Kenny is that he was an avid outdoorsman and spent many of his days out in the wilderness. He had a YouTube channel and would often videotape his hikes and adventures outdoors. His screen name was Snakebite McGee, and he called himself this because he had a very dangerous habit of picking up snakes, and he was once bitten by a rattlesnake. For example, he once posted, quote, "I solo hike across mountaintops that most people wouldn't dare go. I have been in more caves than I can count. I play with rattlesnakes for fun, but this one particular cave was beyond anything I have ever encountered." End quote. He was definitely an adventure seeker and quite a character. And Kenny frequently embarked on solo hikes in remote areas, often seeking out unusual or mysterious locations. He spent much of his free time exploring the Mojave and the Great Basin deserts in Nevada and California. Kenny went alone on most of the trips he would take, and he would camp out for several days with minimal supplies and without GPS, a compass, or even maps. And on some occasions, he was accompanied by his girlfriend. Many fellow hikers in the U.S. deserts would call his trips reckless and because he didn't have the necessary preparation and equipment. And I tend to agree with he was unprepared. And it doesn't matter like what you think, how you think something's going to go outside. It is actually so dangerous and anything can happen. And I'm not trying to scare anyone, but especially if you're going to be in the desert, you need to be more prepared because there are less resources that you can use to keep yourself alive out in these areas. This is another comment from Kenny. Quote, "I have been doing this sort of thing for 20 years. I go where no one goes and I never take anyone with me. I find skulls of all shapes and sizes, and I occasionally find really old animal traps. I hike over mountaintop after mountaintop and sleep on peaks under the stars. Sometimes I have to scale giant cliffs to get myself out of a jam, but I always make it back. I'm beat up and tired, and my pack is almost always heavier than when I left. I had to be rescued only one time by a helicopter. I had blown out my left leg at the top of a mountain, and I only had a cup of water left to get me 20 miles back to my truck. It was also over 100 degrees out, so I have a very good safety record." End quote. I'm not sure if I would call that a good safety record, but he had a different definition or interpretation of safety, obviously. Like most people would not say that he was recreating responsibly or safely outside. Everyone's different. I just know that people need to be more realistic about recreating outside, especially in desert areas. Now, in June 2014, Kenny messaged on a video called "Son of an Area 51 Technician," stating, quote, "That ain't nothing. I am a long-distance hiker. One time during one of my hikes out by Nellis Air Force Base, I found a hidden cave. The entrance to the cave was shaped perfectly like a capital M. I always enter every cave I find, but as I began to enter this particular cave, my whole body began to vibrate. The closer I got to the cave entrance, the worse the vibrating became. Suddenly, I became very scared and hightailed it out of there. That was one of the strangest things that has ever happened to me, end quote. The M-shaped cave that Kenny was referring to in this YouTube comment was supposedly in the Sheep Range north of Las Vegas. Obviously, Kenny's comment sparked interest like wildfire, and after posting his original comment, several YouTube users encouraged him to seek out the cave again, enter it, and documenting it on his video camera, because everyone was very, very intrigued about this M cave and the vibrations. However, not all of the comments were supportive, and there's actually like a comment that said, quote, "If you find the cave entrance, don't go in. If you do, you won't get out." And this comment was actually deleted shortly after it was posted. I don't know if this person knew something that Kenny didn't know, but I don't know. It's just kind of creepy to know that, yes, he did go back to look for this cave, and no, he did not come back. The area where this cave was located is considered to be extremely remote and a challenging area, and it's often said it's extremely isolating. The landscape is dotted with old mine shafts, some of which have been reportedly used by the military for chemical disposal. The area was of difficult access, requiring around 10 hours of hiking for Kenny to reach the vicinity of the M cave and return back to his car. The region also has a reputation for being dangerous, with reports of drug activity and even being a dumping ground for murder victims. After Kenny was challenged by various YouTube users about the existence of the M cave, he decided to undertake 2 more trips to search for it again. Despite the warning from other commenters, he returned to the desert, but this time he took his Rutger 9mm and he posted a YouTube video of his hike trying to find the M cave on October 18th, 2014, called M Cave Hike. And you can actually go view this. I'm pretty sure it's still up on the internet. The first of these was fully recorded and posted to his YouTube channel, but he was unable to locate the cave, which only fueled further skepticism among viewers about if it really existed. This, in turn, only fueled Kenny's desire to find the cave, so he embarked on another trip. He parked his vehicle in the Joe May Canyon and probably headed to areas like Corkscrew Canyon and the valley around Gas Peak. Then Kenny told YouTubers he was going on a 3rd trip to the area to find the mystical M cave and invited others to join him, but no one offered to accompany him. On November 10th, 2014, Kenny told his girlfriend, whose name was Sharon, that he was leaving to find the cave on a solo hike. And unfortunately, Kenny has never been seen again. Now, after 3 days of not hearing from him, Sharon reported him missing, and a search operation was immediately launched. And this search operation included volunteers and officials from Nevada Search and Rescue, and it was extremely laboring, the search. It was in very rugged terrain. It was hot. I mean, even in November, it's still pretty hot in the desert. And despite an extensive search of the area, no sign of Kenny was found, except for his cell phone, which was discovered on November 22nd near an abandoned mineshaft in the Sheep Range. The phone's location suggested that Kenny made it to the general area he intended to explore, but his ultimate fate remained unknown. Quote, "We found his cell phone close to a vertical old mine shaft, and we can't find another trail. It doesn't mean he's down the mine shaft, but we have tracked him as far as we can. We are having our other crews come in from the search areas," end quote. That was one of the search and rescue head people that said that. And they also brought in experts in wildlife and mines to come in and assist their search. Searching turned up nothing else. Only his cell phone was found. And after his phone was found, the trail would go extremely ice cold. Kenny has never been found, and this actually opens a lot of speculation. There are many conspiracy theories about what happened to Kenny, and the circumstances of his death fueled the internet with conspiracy theories of every shape and color. Had Kenny fallen down a mine shaft? Had he discovered a hidden entrance to Area 51? Had he stumbled upon a great military secret? Was the cave connected to aliens, or had he simply succumbed to the elements? So I think if we're going to talk about Occam's razor, which if you've been a listener since day one, you know that's how I explained most. That's how I explain most of these theories. Is the simplest explanation is usually the right one. However, I think in this case, I don't know if we have a simple explanation without his body and only finding his phone. I do think it's very suspicious that it was found near an old mine shaft, and I know that they probably checked that. But how deep do these mine shafts go? And is it possible that he's still down there? The trail ran cold for a long time until a woman claiming to be Kenny's girlfriend posted the following comment on his M Cave video. Quote, "I am the girlfriend that Kenny spoke of in the video. There are so many1posts. I had no idea until a friend let me know. So many people are wondering what happened and guessing different things. You are heartfelt about the sadness around what has happened with Kenny. He has not been found, and I feel that he is probably will not be found for many, many months, if ever. I want to share what I know and feel about what happened so that you might bring some closure and understanding in your own lives." Kenny absolutely loved hiking in the desert. It was his very, very favorite thing to do. We hiked and camped together all over the Nevada desert, sometimes 9 hours in a day. We found many abandoned mining towns, usually referred to as ghost towns by Nevada hikers. We explored many caves and mine shafts. We were always careful with how we explored them, but Kenny was a bit more daring than I was. We wore snake guards, sun-protected clothing, used walking sticks, brought enough water and food for the hiking hours, and had extra food and water in the car. I want you to know that I do not think Kenny had an accident. I believe he committed suicide. He battled depression for many years and would not take medication or see a doctor. He quit his job a little more than a year before he disappeared. The search for him was started within a couple days of my call. Over 30 search and rescue team members searched 3 different times on foot. 1 helicopter flyover was done, and there was no trace of Kenny or any of his camping things. They found his car in the area I told them it would be. They did find his cell phone by a mine shaft in the video. The mine shaft was only about a 4-hour hike from his car. It is my feeling he left it behind so that he could not be tracked from the GPS in it. He also did not take his video camera with him on this solo hike. It was left in his home. So he had no intention of filming anything." End quote. She then goes on to say, "I share this with you for 2 reasons. First, so that you will have more of an understanding of who Kenny was and to bring some peace or understanding in the situation. Secondly, if any of you do decide to go out into our desert to look for him or the M Cave, be careful and bring enough food and water. Walking sticks are a good idea, and not doing a solo hike. Bring a GPS and make sure that you have let family or friends know where you are heading for the hike and where and when you will be returning. A search really can't be on a day hike. You would be repeating much of the same hike, just getting up the mountain and then be left with not so many hours in the day to do the search. You would need 2 or 3 days at a time, and in the summer or even late spring, this cannot be done because of the heat of our desert. You could not be able to carry enough water, so please, please be careful. I had many wonderful experiences with Kenny and will always remember them and have a place of love in my heart for him and the wonderful things we did together. I am healing from my loss and look forward to new experiences with desert hiking, camping, and taking beautiful pictures of our desert. Enjoy your adventures of life, and thank you for the kind, loving comments sent my way." So this was an extremely long comment that she left, and it's unconfirmed if this actually was Kenny's girlfriend, but I think most of us are just going to take it at face value and say, yes, it was. And she offers really good insight and advice into hiking in the desert, but also reveals her theory. She thinks her boyfriend, Kenny, actually went out to the desert to end his life, which is extremely, extremely sad. This is one of the common theories discussed, especially since someone so close to Kenny brought this up. Kenny's case goes cold, and searchers never find anything else. No one finds anything else, actually. And it wasn't until January 2021 that a group of friends from Nevada launched a website dedicated to finding Kenny Veach and documenting their search efforts. By December 9th of that year, the website was converted into an ARG that claimed Kenny Veach had never existed. By March 2022, the website had been taken down and was no longer accessible. So who's to say who is behind this and what they really discovered? Susan Veach, Kenny's sister-in-law, spoke to EW News and claimed that there were no photos or videos taken of the M Cave by Kenny, which seemed off. She then claimed that it was not there and he did it all for attention, essentially faking his own death. Now, this was his sister-in-law, not his sister. She added that he likely didn't see this kind of media attention around his disappearance. So in other words, he did this on purpose and didn't see it blowing up and pretty much becoming like internet legend. I did want to note that in July of 2018, a man broke into a wellness center and stole an iPad from behind the counter. And this happened in Las Vegas, and the shop was actually owned by Kenny's sister, Debbie. The business is called Enchanted Forest, and it's a business focused on healing energies, angels, and spirits. I did watch the video footage, and Debbie did too. And Debbie was surprised to see the break-in unfold, but she was especially shocked to view what happened seconds after the burglar left with the iPad. In the video, several lights appear in the air, and Debbie believes that these were orbs or small spiritual beings. Now, Susan claimed that she knew that this was Kenny, and this man apparently was clutching his knee from a supposed injury. She said, quote, "Instantly, I was like, oh my God, that's Kenny. My heart fell out of my chest, and I swear I broke out in a sweat." Now, I'm not sure what Debbie thought, although according to this article, it didn't seem like Debbie actually thought it was her brother. And since then, there's been no new information on the disappearance or whereabouts of Kenny Veach. In November 2021, a 2-hour crime documentary about Kenny's disappearance. This is called Kenny Veach, Real Life Nightmare Mojave Mystery, Vanished in the Desert. Oh, that's a long title. That actually aired, and that brought a lot of people viewing Kenny's story. I mean, this story still needs to be solved. His family still deserves to know where he is, and so people are still constantly talking about this case. Now, Susie Veach, like I said, Kenny's sister-in-law, on February 9th, she actually was quoted as saying, quote, "There's no proof Kenny Veach is dead, as no one has declared him deceased," end quote. That was a quote from last February. Kenny has not been seen, like a confirmed sighting, there's been none, since he set out into the Nevada desert that day, and his case remains unsolved. Now, I want to talk about theories for a second. Like I said, one of the theories that's popular is suicide. The person that commented on YouTube said this, but also, like, where are Kenny's remains? Nothing has ever been found despite all the official and voluntary searches. Perhaps he jumped into one of those mine shafts in this sheep mountain and will never be found. We do know that Kenny took his 9mm and the weapon has not been found either. Another theory is if this was intentional. Like, did Kenny intentionally disappear to start a new life and escape troubles at home? It appears that he was having financial issues at the time of his disappearance, although I'm not sure the extent of those financial issues. Another one that I think is most likely is misadventure. If he fell in a mine shaft, did he succumb to hyperthermia or overheat exposure and die of dehydration? Did a snake bite him? Only his phone was found. There's no sign of a body despite extensive searches in the area. Someone else suggested that Kenny's girlfriend might somehow be involved. It seems unlikely, but we always want to keep that in the back of our minds in any case where someone disappears and is presumed dead. I think the biggest conspiracy is military action. So, did Kenny discover a secret entrance to Area 51? Was the M cave real, and did it have to do with military testing or UFO or extraterrestrial life? I don't know. I think that is the off the deep end, no one's really going to believe that. We don't have a lot of evidence to suggest that that might have happened, but then we don't have a lot of evidence to suggest that it didn't happen. So I'm not sure if we will ever know what happened to Kenny, but I will say that it's likely his family knew him best, and they still need to find out what happened to him. If you have any information on this case, you are urged to call the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department at 702-828-3111. As always, recreate responsibly, and remember, sometimes the great outdoors aren't always great. Thanks for listening to Morbid Outdoors. If you're enjoying what you're hearing, make sure to subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast platform. It's free, easy, and it helps us out immensely. When you subscribe, you get updates on our latest episodes, and it also boosts our visibility, making it easier for other curious souls to find us. Another great way to support Morbid Outdoors is by leaving us a review. Whether you're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen, a quick review helps us know what you love about the show. Find us on Instagram and Facebook at Morbid Outdoors Podcast. You can email us case suggestions and your campfire stories at morbidoutdoorspodcast@gmail.com. Thanks so much for the support, and I'll see you next time. Okay, friends, now time for the personal stuff. Most of you said personal at the ending is fine, so if you're here sticking around, thank you. And I think it's awesome because I love sharing with you all. So personally, I'm so tired of this weather, this winter weather. I've been planning a lot of hikes and they've all been canceled because I refuse to hike in the mountains when there's a snowstorm. I don't know. I'm just like, I just want to start hiking and I'm ready for the spring and summer, but I also know that we need snow for wildfires. So I don't know. In terms of personal outdoors things, nothing's really going on. Like I said, I started to do TikToks, which, oh my gosh, it makes me feel so old because I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just trying to get the word out about the podcast, and about these cases that still need to be solved, much like Kenny's case. So if you have friends or family or even people that listen to podcasts, like coworkers, if you think they like it, share it with them. You can talk about my podcast. I love for you to share my podcast. It's, like I said, it's not my full-time job. It's a passion project, but I love putting out content for you all, and I love the feedback that I've heard from you. So in any case, I hope you have a great week. Try to get outside. Try not to go crazy if you can't get outside, like stir crazy, cabin fever. But have a great week, and I will see you guys next time.